you probably suck way more than you think you do. And if you don't think you suck, you're probably way better than you think you are. And these are the main ideas of the Dunning Kruger effect. And if you've never heard of the Dunning Kruger effect, it's a cognitive bias where people with a low ability in a certain area tend to overestimate their competence in that certain area. And those with a higher ability tend to underestimate their competence in that certain area. So it's not saying that you're dumb or that you're ass or that you should stop doing whatever you're doing. I'm just saying you more than likely have a cognitive bias. The Dunning Kruger effect has three main areas. So the first one is when beginners overestimate themselves. So when you first learn something, you generally feel very confident because you're not aware of all the complexities and all the difficulties of a task. Because right now, since you're just learning it, your view on the task is super narrow. And as you begin to learn more and more, not only do you get better, so your competence actually improves, but your scope like widens up. So then you can see all the other complexities, and then that's when you start to think like, holy shit, I'm kind of ass, even though you've gotten better. And this, as you continue in the skill, as you gain more knowledge in the skill, you reach something called it's called the valley of despair because it's shown on a graph. So when you first start, or I guess it'd be from here. Yeah. So you're on a graph, and when you first start something, so this is how good you are, and this is your confidence, right? And right now, starting on this side, this is a graph right here. Your good level is all the way at the very fucking beginning. You're pretty fucking dog shit. But the Dunning Kruger graph shows that people typically tend to be very high on the confidence, even though they're pretty ass. And it goes slightly up, and as you begin to get more knowledge, your scope widens up, like I said earlier, and then you fall into the valley of despair, which is where you are getting better, but your confidence just absolute fucking plummets. It's horrendous. And then as you start to get better and further on the graph, you do increase, and then maybe you will reach that level of confidence coupled with the knowledge and competence of the area of skill. But rather than your confidence being based on arrogance and ignorance, it's based on competence. So not only is your confidence high now, but your skill is high enough to match it. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I just had a crazy realization for myself. Because I'm in wrestling and I've been wrestling for 2 years. And I've been aware of the Dunning Kruger effect for a really long time. I don't know where I heard it from, but I've been aware of the Dunning Kruger effect since probably around middle school. So going into new things, I always remind myself to be humble, to realize your ass. And when I first came into wrestling, the first year, I realized I was ass and I knew I was ass. But I didn't realize how ass I actually was until this year. To put it into perspective, what made me really open up and see how bad I actually was and the ignorance of not knowing how bad I was, even though I was consciously telling myself like you're ass, you're bad at this, you're not good. But I thought I was so much better than I thought I was, even with telling myself how ass I was. And the way I realized this was last year for districts, which districts is three of the most important tournaments that we train for. It's the tournament that we train for in wrestling because every other tournament doesn't matter too much, and then districts. And if you place at a certain level in districts, you go to regionals, and then from regionals you qualify to state. And if you don't wrestle districts, you can't qualify for state. So it's the one of the most important tournaments in our season. And last year, I went into districts not confident, but definitely not as scared as I should have been. Not that I think it's good to be scared, but my ignorance to everything made me just think I was gonna be okay. And I wasn't okay. I didn't even place. I got sixth place, and to make it to regionals you need to get within the top five. So I did place, but not place enough to make it to regionals. Yeah. I did place, but not high enough to make it to regionals, which is what I had been training for the entire year. So obviously I was sad, and I did cry a little, I won't lie, because I mean it's hard work, and just for all that hard work to not pay off kind of does suck. And I just remember getting absolutely whooped that tournament. My first match was against the kid that actually went on to win districts, and it was a little embarrassing. It was like watching like an adult beat up on a little kid. It was the gap was enormous, and I couldn't even fathom how much time it took for him to get that good. And even through telling myself how bad I was, until this year, until this districts, which was this last week, which I won. I won districts this year, which is insane to me. But until getting to a certain skill level, until you get to a certain skill level, and you're ahead on the graph, until you're ahead on the graph, you can't ever look back and see how crazy confident you were for absolutely no reason. And I think it's just very important to stay humble and understand that at the beginning you're gonna suck. And that's why I started this video off with you probably suck way more than you think you do. Not to be a dick, not to put you down, or not to put you down, or to convince you to quit or to feel bad about yourself. But I just want you to understand that you're ass. And being ass is the only way you will ever get to be on this part of the graph. You need to go through this being dog shit part if you ever want to be less dog shit.